Fitting lyrics as we commence our next conversation, speaking about an upcoming scam defense seminar happening on the 28th of November at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. Joining us this morning is Anthony Payson, president of the ISC2 Caribbean chapter, to share a little bit more about that. Good morning, Anthony, and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you with us on this show. Before we get into the scam defense, the seminar that's taking place, what is ISC2?
Well, ISC2 is an international body, a certification body, and what it does training and certification of cybersecurity professionals.
Okay, and why would the choice have been now to have this particular seminar? I ask that because, you know, throughout the calendar year, we've just seen this consistent increase when it comes to scams and cyber attacks, but particularly now at the holiday season, this is taking place.
Right, so that's a really good question, because we specifically chose this time of the year because of, you know, it's the holiday season and people are buying and selling and having a good time, and they may not be as conscious of their cybersecurity and their data and the information that they have out there. So, you know, people might be intoxicated and might this, you know. So they're not, you know, 100%, you know, focused on protecting their information. And we are spending and buying stuff. There's Black Friday sales going on. There's sales on Amazon. There's sales everywhere. So what you find happening is that scammers, they notice these trends. They notice these seasons. And when they perpetrate their scams during these periods, they tend to make more money, right? Because it's all about money.
I mean,
right?
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because everybody's just swiping and just uploading their number wherever, just to be like, click.
Willy-nilly, and you know, you're not really conscious of it, and you're not really taking it on, right? So that is why we are having this conversation.
Okay, and who is your target audience for this? Because I hear you speaking about, of course, those, let's say, regular shoppers, but also I know that we see some people in the SMB segment as well. They will be obviously affected by scammers and so much more.
Right, so we are targeting business, government, schools, the regular folks, small businesses, you know, because cybersecurity it doesn't belong to, you know, one particular group. You know, all groups are affected, right? Because if someone's scammed, like a customer is scammed, then that customer belongs to, you know, a particular business that actually sold them some product or service, right? So if you are scammed, then, and you are conducting some transaction with that particular business, you may not trust that business anymore, right? You may not trust the bank. You know, so it affects business, right?
It definitely does affect business. I mean, just as we're speaking here, one of the things for me that comes to mind is the hesitancy when you go into certain establishments, because you've heard stories of even just tapping, or, you know, because you never know what can happen. And then it goes down to the institutions, such as the financial institutions, for example, as well.
That's great.
Now, you definitely have a wide audience, target audience that you're looking at. What are the key takeaways that you expect them to be able to walk away from your seminar with? Okay,
so when we were conceptualizing this particular seminar, we said to ourselves, you know, how could we make this more impactful? So we decided, okay, here's what. We would throw in some live demonstrations, right?
Nice.
So we're actually going to demonstrate some of the techniques that these scammers and these hackers use in order to gain access to your information. And people have to understand something, right? When we talk about hacking and scamming, we tend to focus on technology. But you could hack a person and you can hack a process as well. Hacking a person is, you know, trying to get at that person, getting that person to trust you. So you're attacking them, you know, psychologically, and we call that social engineering, and that is something that is done, especially with scams. Scams is all about deception.
This is a holistic seminar on scamming.
Yes,
essentially.
So it's scamming as well as as hacking, right? So what comes first is always the hack,
Right.
right? And then the scam comes
Yeah.
after, right? What the hack will do is it will provide information to the attacker, right, or the
Okay.
scammer. And once that information is supplied to that person, then they have information on you.
Yep.
And once they have information on you, then they could get to you, right? They would know your name, they probably know your contact information, and when they contact you, you'll be like, okay, you'll be more inclined to trust this person because they already have information on you. You have no idea where they got the information from, but they seem to know you, right? And that is the crux of the matter when it comes to scamming.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're definitely speaking to many people, of course, who would have experienced that. All right. So what would you say are some of the most common scams that are targeting businesses and individuals in the Caribbean at this point in time?
Right. So some of the common scams you would find would be like the text-based scams.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not sure if you experienced it.
Of course. I mean,
You got a
you're speaking,
WhatsApp.
and I'm just thinking about every possible scam they've tried with me, even pretending to be police officers and all kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's taking it up a notch, right? But generally, what you would normally get, you will get like WhatsApp calls.
Yeah.
You'll get SMSs, right? And those tend to be, quite effective
Right.
because what they do is they throw a wide net, and some people become victims, right? In terms of businesses, we have email compromise, business email compromise, and we have where business information and systems are compromised as well. So those are the key ones, those key scams and hacks that take place in the Caribbean right now.
So this, of course, I'm just thinking as well, of course, facilitating the rise of two-factor authentication. Something that you just touched on, before we get to the end of our conversation, you did mention there are going to be live demos.
Correct.
And I would love to know a little bit more about that, because when you hear live demos, but you also specifically said from the perspective of the hacker, this is not something we see every day.
No, right. So hence the reason why we decided, okay, we needed to have a seminar that is different from all the
Right.
rest, right? So I remember when I was now starting in my career, I specifically remember a conference I had gone to. And the reason why I remember that conference was because there were live demonstrations.
Right, yeah, of
And that
course.
stuck with me, right? So what we want our attendees and those who connecting online to take away is to understand how serious this thing is.
So you just mentioned connecting online. So is the format for this hybrid?
Yes, this is hybrid.
Okay.
Yeah. So you could register and register online, or you could register for the live event.
Where do we go to register for the event itself?
Okay. There is a website that you can go to, and you can register for the live or for the virtual.
Okay.
Right? Do you want me to?
Yes, of course, please.
Okay. So it's called Caribbean, right? So regular words, Caribbean-conference.com.
Okay.
So Caribbean-conference.com.
And is there a contribution in order to attend the seminar?
Yes.
What's the contribution?
Right. So live is 100 US. No, live is 200 US. Virtual is 100 US.
Okay, excellent. And during the demos itself, will those who are viewing, are they going to be able to interact and perhaps do and learn a little bit about how it's done, like a first-hand perspective?
Well, most of the interaction will take place with the live audience. But the virtual audience will actually be able to witness the live demonstrations as well.
Okay, wonderful. Unfortunately, we don't have that much time left, but it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. And thank you for this as well. Specifically, I think, aside from the really budget-friendly for what you're going to be showing.
Yes. We
at the
tried
seminar.
really hard to,
Yeah.
to reduce the cost.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the fact also that it's made available to such a wide audience, hats off to you and your team as well, because
Thank
we
you
need to
very much.
continue to raise awareness. So, Anthony, it's been a pleasure to have you, and I'm sure you'll be enjoying what's taking place on the 28th.
Thank you very much for having me here.
It's a pleasure to have you. Anthony Payson, president of the ISC2 Caribbean chapter, here this morning discussing with us the Scam Defense 2024 seminar that's going to be taking place at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. Stay tuned. There's more coming up on the show after this break.
You gotta be careful.